Today is our first Sunday in Advent, which is a season that is all about new beginnings. We were talking about the new year at my house the other day, and Dominic was saying how many different years there are. There's the school year and the year, and I said, and the church year, and he's like, wait a second. So there's so many chances for new beginnings, and thanks be to God for that. Today is one of those, the beginning of the new church year, where we practice hope, even in the midst of uncertainty, where we light candles that get brighter and brighter every week as we approach the birth of the Christ child. In this time of new beginnings, our Advent series, Words for the Beginning, is calling us back to the kind of core messages that we want to circle back to as we begin again. Whether you're beginning a new year, a new job, some of you have new family dynamics with members who've been added, members who've passed away. We're all staring down the barrel of a new political administration that feels very uncertain. So what are our life rafts that we can hold on to when we're in this new beginning space and we're not sure what comes next? What are the lampposts to light the way for us? What can we hold on to steady us as we take a step and then another step and then another step into the unknown? What are messages of truth and consistency? These are what we're focusing on this Advent season. And today's message, today's life raft, today's lamppost for us is that you are a blessing. You are a blessing. How did that feel saying that to each other at the passing of the peace? Did you like it? It was so cute. I loved watching. No, you're a blessing. Wait a second. It was so good, right? You enjoy that. But did it feel a little strange to anyone too at the same time? Yes. Yeah, you don't hear that a lot from each other. Yeah. Sometimes when we are looking for true messages to hang on to, we also have to do the work of confronting the stories we've been told about ourselves that are not helpful, that are not true, right? That make us feel a little, who, me? Am I a blessing? Whenever we hear that from each other today. What are the messages that you've been told that might make it hard to hear that you're a blessing? What are the messages that are not helpful, that maybe are keeping you stuck? What stories did your parents tell about you? I'm sure they told some lovely ones. I also got told, they still tell stories at holiday gatherings about me being bossy and hard-headed, right? Okay, there's some truth to that, but what about you? Lots of women in the room were probably told they were too much. Lots of men in the room might have been told you're not enough. Right? Maybe you heard messages at church that made this hard to believe, right? That you're a sinner, there's something wrong with you. Anybody? Just me? No? Yeah. We're going to try to undo those a little bit here at UBC. From your culture, do you hear messages even now that you're too big or too wrinkly or too lazy or too small or too loud or too weak? Right? I see some heads nodding. Part of our task today is to face those messages and expose them for the lies that they are, right? Tell them that they are not true. We are not perfect. We are bossy and hard-headed and maybe too loud sometimes. And we, exactly as we are, you, in all your imperfection, are blessed. You are a blessing. In all your inconsistency, with your fear, with your anger, with all the things that make you you, your story begins and ends with blessedness. And this is where we see Mary's story begin today, too. "Greetings, favored one," the angel says to her. And you can almost hear her like, huh? Who, me? She had a hard time receiving that announcement of her blessedness, too. "God is with you," the angel says to her. And she's looking behind her like, wait, where's God? Mary is young. She was poor. She lived in an occupied territory. She had no power, no influence. And the message that she begins with, the message that her story begins with is, you are blessed, just as you are, favored, graced. You will bear a son who will be a new king, a new kind of ruler for my people. This is the divine message that she gets. And this is a subversive announcement because it calls into question, what does blessedness look like? What does God's favor look like? People in the ancient world assumed it looked like safety and security, right? Good health, wealth. But what we find in our holy story is that that's not necessarily what God's blessing looks like. God's blessing looks like this young, brown woman who has nothing. God's favor looks like her not becoming a queen mother from this announcement and stepping into a role of power, but even in this message of blessing, even as she hears that God is with her, her story begins to get even more difficult from here. Pretty soon, she will be an unwed pregnant teenager, shamed by her society. As she grows older, she will be the mother of a rebel teacher who doesn't listen to her very well, whose baby is killed by the state for treason, who becomes the mother of a movement of all her son's friends, a movement that goes on. She never has money. She never has power. What does it mean to be blessed? What does it mean to be a blessing? Mary is blessed. Mary is favored. She says yes to God, to playing the role that she only can play. And that does not make her life easier. She has an incredibly challenging life. But her life is crucial. It is blessed. God is with her, and she continues to be a blessing throughout our narrative. And even now, right, she is a blessing to so many of us. What does blessing look like? I found out this morning from one of our regular attendees at the campus community dinner that a friend of his family's, Chef Mahmoud, who is the leader of the Gaza soup kitchen, was killed yesterday, was assassinated by an Israeli drone as he walked out of his house. Chef Mahmoud refused to leave North Gaza because he had it in him to feed hungry people. He and his team fed about 3,000 people every day, and that was just the last they had put on their website, so I'm sure it's grown since then. And they're still feeding, even as they grieve the death of their leader. He refused to leave because he could cook, and he wanted to feed his people. Chef Mahmoud is blessed. God was with him. He was a blessing to so many. His life was not easy. It did not get easier. He didn't have any authority or power or influence, but he was blessed, and his memory is a blessing. Who gets to be blessed? Who gets to be a blessing? Is it judged by beautiful, picture-perfect Instagram posts with a hashtag blessed? What do you think? Is it judged by how much security we have in our retirement accounts? Maybe not. Who is blessed? What does it mean to be a blessing? Beloveds, you are a blessing. Hear these words again. You are a blessing. Not because of what you can do, not because of how good you are, or how smart you are, or how much you can change, or what you have, or how much growth you demonstrate. You are a blessing. Like Mary, like Chef Mahmoud. You begin with blessedness as your starting point and move from there. You have a divine purpose growing within you, whether it is being birthed anew this season or being put out into the world as food for the hungry. You have a divine purpose within you, and it is yours inherently. You don't need to do anything for that to be true. You are a blessing, and that is your birthright as someone who is made in God's image, who God calls good. This Advent, may we practice truly knowing our blessedness, truly believing. Yes, you have to practice believing things. Believing the story that matters, the story that is true, not the story of your childhood, not the story of your religious trauma, not the story of all of the culture and capitalism and social media that surrounds you, but the story that is true, that you are a blessing. On the front of your bulletin, I don't know if y'all noticed this gorgeous artwork of the angel kind of embracing Mary, and Mary just kind of breathing in her blessedness that was so hard for her to believe when the angel first came. I love this picture so much, and I think it invites us to sit a moment with your blessedness as well. And I want to invite you, if you feel comfortable, to use the same motions that Mary is making here. Put a hand on your heart, put a hand on your belly, and imagine the divine love surrounding you and telling you the truth. You are a blessing. You are favored. God is with you. Beloveds, we are invited to move from this place, to play our parts, to do what only you can do, to be yourself. That is the blessing. You are a crucial part of the divine weaving, the divine story of our world. You are a blessing. Beloveds, go forth and be you. Amen.